the moment we've all been waiting for. In Dandadan, Ken and Momo's relationship gets tested as Ida makes her attempt to confess her love to Ken by forcibly locking body heat to body heat with the unconsenting lips of Ken's. What will Momo do if she ever catches Ken and Ida in a top and bottom situation? But just before a romantic plot can find a resolution, it is the return of the alien ditties. Welcome to an episode review of Dandadan, episode 8. Nanka moya moya surun janyo. This episode opens up with some slurping. Who would have guessed, after a heavy episode of heartfelt tragedy, that we'd move so fast into a world with Ken and his harem? After an episode of reviving the pink-haired, still full of herself Shiratori Ira, we are met with the pleasures of some calming slice of life. All the main characters of Dandadan are stuffed with stomachs full of noodles, with the table still filled with gluttonous adventures, a savory satisfaction. That is not until Okuren Shonen gets a taste of immense tension of what a future life of polyamory can do, as he looks at both Momo and Ida slurping away, sensing the tension between angry women about to become very direct. Momo cuts the tension to apologize to Ida about the wash bin incident, while Ayase Baba and Pussycat Turbo Baba continues to slurp away at this tireless teenage phenomena that is a high school girly drama. To call things even Steven with Ida, she suggests to Ida to apologize to Okuren for being a totally deceiving bitch, and she herself will apologize for taking things too far with violence. However, Ida is a different kind of breed of delusional beauty that still thinks Momo is a demon. I mean, that would be the ultimate plot twist when dealing with aliens and spirits. Is this like a place in the story where Ida is gaslighting us? Who knows? However, Momo and Ida continue their bickering as they stuff themselves at the Ayase household. And then Ida says what we were all thinking, and that Ayase Baba is totally damn. Seeing that this unintentional compliment has swayed the waifu Baba, maybe Ayase Baba has a new granddaughter now, and that Momo is totally a demon. Shiratori Ida is totally convinced that Ayase Baba and Ken are actually demons, being led by that big bad ringleader that is Ayase Momo. In a unique display of comedy, two girls, two cups, with slurpy noodles in her mouth, trade barbs with captions you guys hate so much on my videos, but that's not gonna stop these two rivals from using words to wound each other's pride. It's because Ida is kawaii sugi that she must save the world from demons like Momo, as she thanks Ayase Baba for the somen noodles and takes her leave, but she comes crawling back, right back, to trample all over Momo's feelings by displaying her own feelings of affection for Takakura-kun. She asks Ken, "Why'd you try to save me?" And Ken just gives her a bland answer that Ida assumes that his human heart is still intact inside of his demon body. If only she knew that his golden balls were the true issue and not his heart. But now Ida will do everything she can to save Ken from the grasp of Momo's unseen demon hands. Both Ken and Momo are baffled by the absurdity of this pink-haired delusional teenager, but Ida's feelings are realer than real for Ken. For her, it's forbidden love. A human and a demon lost in their own world where they meet body heat to body heat, or forbidden giggity. It looks like we're back in the lovable slice of life that is the Dandadan story. This scene pretty much finishes inserting Ida into the story as Momo's rival, where her character brings this fun delusional element to the story that isn't just on the surface a love triangle. You gotta bring some personality to it. So that is what Ida's delusion brings to the table. I feel like the previous episode is one where we should cherish, because Dandadan in itself is not typically going to bring us something that deep, emotional, deep dive into something as tragic as Silky's backstory. And you can see right away at the beginning of this episode that there is a stark contrast between a regular Dandadan episode like this episode versus the previous episode, where it changes the entire tone, and how the episode plays out is entirely different than the rest of the episodes. And with the previous episode feeling like the creators went all in on delivering this empathetic connection to acrobatic Silky's backstory and the experiences that led up to her becoming a yokai. So now, back to the nut jokes and teenage drama. After the opening credits, it opens back up with Pussycat Turbo Baba getting ready to ram Ken's golden ball back into a sack. Batter up, batter up. Pussycat Baba is getting ready to pitch her biggest strike yet as she winds up and throws the golden ball in between Ken's legs, with Ayase Baba swinging for a home run, but only catching air as Ken's sack plays catcher and catches his golden ball with his sack.
Omedetou gozaimasu.
We're back at school, and for some reason it's only Momo and Ken walking in the hallway together, alone. Momo is already thinking about all the things she can do to help Ken relocate the other third of his manhood, even suggesting picking up some hours at a part-time job. That honestly sounds like a good supportive girlfriend. However, what is Dandadan without his romantic drama, as Ken suddenly stops and tells Momo, I got some other stuff I gotta do for lunch, like this book report. Momo is slowly sensing red flags all over the place, suggesting that maybe they can hit up an internet cafe after school to research the whereabouts of his other magical golden ball. However, Okurin continues to set off the red flags, and he tells her he still has other plans. With Ida's introduction to the story, there can only be one thing we are all thinking, and Momo is starting to feel the uneasy feeling of female competition. Momo's stomach tells her that she's hangry as she pulls up to the homegirls for some gossiping. It looks like Okurin is an accepted part of Momo's friends, as they wonder why he isn't with her this time. Nothing can stop a woman's sixth sense as Momo starts revealing her suspicions of what Okurin Shonen could be doing. And doing, that is a word that is certainly suspicious. Momo goes off to grab a drink for herself and Miko, but this puts her into an alone headspace where the pretty attractive but delusional pink-haired girl has invaded her mental space, even suggesting that she might actually take a peek into Ken's privacy. And that's not until...
You cheating son of a...
Well, from a storytelling perspective, you see the natural progression into the insights of a specific part of what any normal relationship goes through. Every episode thus far has explored a different element to Momo and Ken's relationship. We just had our first acknowledgement of the unintentional kiss between Momo and Ken, that Momo at first was really embarrassed to be caught with Ken. So she herself had this social pressure that she had to overcome. While that episode showed how embarrassed she was, she eventually knew that she was in the wrong and should accept Ken and to eventually embrace him, which leads to this little scene earlier in this episode with Miko and Muko, that the first thing that they ask Momo is why Okurin isn't with her, giving the acknowledgement to the audience, the acceptance of this potentially romantic relationship between Ken and Momo. And I say potentially because in the story they haven't outright said that they're boyfriend and girlfriend, but we all know that they are. From the early episodes of Dandadan establishing this relationship between Momo and Ken and the internal aspects of their relationship, now the story is adding outside elements into their relationship in the form of the opposite sex, which is always going to be a relationship concern, because if we're being real with ourselves, jealousy is within all of us. We have to build security in how we feel for the other person that we're in a relationship with. And the salaciousness, intrigue of infidelity. That is always going to be a super compelling part of a story. In a certainly out of context scene, Ida is the bottom with Okudan being the top. Ken has certainly looked like he's becoming more full of himself with one golden ball back inside his sack. At least, this is probably what is going through Momo's head right now, as she probably wants to commit some unaliving right now. The scene transitions to Ken trying to compensate for one of his missing balls by getting swole. It looks like Ayase Baba has given Ken the Saitama workout routine as he works on improving his physical prowess. Just like Momo, who is looking to go above and beyond to help Ken regain his manhood, Ken is actually trying to be a man for Momo's protection. Unfortunately, that is when Ken gets caught up in a "it's not what it looks like" situation, as Shiratori Ida comes out of nowhere to tell Ken about her delusional drivel of humans and demons being body heat to body heat with each other. That is the forbidden love, as she tries to forcibly confess her love in a surprising but not so surprising action of a beautiful girl always trying to get her way. She tries to assault Ken with her lips, but Ken ain't no two-timing freak and smacks this girl's delusions back with his hand in self-defense. Shiratori is so damn delusional that she probably watched her dad's favorite NTR hentais and accepted that it's normal to forcibly lock lips with someone unconsenting. Shiratori and Takakura get into a wrestling match of unconsenting assault of the lips, and you all know where this leads to. Momo is at the wrong place at the wrong time, while Ida is at the right place at the right time. As Ken has to beg his way out of this "it's not what it looks like" situation, Ken is trying to have Momo hear him out, but Momo can't burn the image of top and bottom out of her system, as she ain't trying to hear whatever's coming out of this is Sosuke Chinko. And here we are at another romantic plot point. We got the naive and innocent Ken being side busted by this delusional pink-haired girl, which gets Momo to react in a similar way as she did before when facing adversity, and runs away from it in a blindingly cloudy haze of frustration that won't allow her to be sane and logical. Rationality is thrown out the window when your man is on top of another woman. No matter what the context is, when you see your significant other on top of someone else, it's going to be frustrating. Momo is totally brain fogged with her suspicions becoming reality, but not reality, as we can all appreciate the joke that Momo gave Miko's drink to the floor. Muko and Miko watches Momo in her depressing haze as she's acting totally unlike herself. And then she starts to get violent with herself and attempts to give herself CTE like a crazy person. Oh my goodness, do we have two delusional heroines now? And then it flips to Ken in his classroom thinking about how he handled this entire situation completely wrong by purposefully lying to Momo to try to get stronger for her protection like a real man without her knowing. Sometimes trying to be cool and look cool will end up making you look stupider. This is like in the Kissy episode where Momo was in the wrong. This time, it is Ken who is in the wrong. While bro is in class doing bicep curls with a dumbbell, we go from a romantic plot point to an actual climactic plot point. The school suddenly turns pitch black and everyone in an instant disappears, and only Shiratori and Takakura is present. Of course, Ida is still hilariously thinking this is the evil Akuma Momo's doing, and this reminds Ken to go find his girl. And his girl is missing. It flips to Momo being trapped somewhere in school too, with the water levels slowly rising in the darkness. Momo can't help but think about Okudan's whereabouts, but at the same time, while thinking about him, feel extremely angry about it. That is when something ominous, dark, and slimy is slowly approaching Momo. Momo hides, but it leaves a reverberation of her frightened self, sending a signal of a wave of water towards this amphibious looking creature. Who knew this damn monster is a goddamn freaky ass Pokemon, as it sends a hyper beam across the hallway As Momo was still somehow able to escape the blast of this hyper beam, she could still only think about her dear Okurin. Ida and Ken heard the noise from the blast, but only faintly, as Ken brings up once again that this situation seems oddly familiar. Ida is still insistent about delusions, but Ken brings us back to reality that this situation is similar, like in episode 2, where they fought the sumo alien and informs Ida about that very specific incident. What are these aliens' true goals? Apparently, bananas. Then, out of nowhere, an alien boxer comes to inflict CTE. Just when it makes a swift attack to inflict trauma to Ken and Ida, Ken has been preparing for this very exact moment with a Saitama workout routine to protect Momo. But unfortunately for him and Momo, it's Ida who he will be protecting. Turbo Grandma Ken makes his appearance and tells
Ida-chan
to escape while he delivers his own CTE to this alien boxer. That is when one of anime's coolest cliche powers surfaces to deliver gravity. Ken gets pulled down to the Serpo Seijin. While Ida is watching on in concern, she pulls out a cross because Jesus is here to save us. But Ken tells her to run away. These Uchujins specifically target women's bananas. With a flash of light, one of the Serpioans gets Ida wet. These Serpo Seijins discuss that they made another void, like in episode 2, that should only allow certain Ningans with high spiritual energy inside of their void. So they're confused by this cross-wielding, pink-haired, delusional Onanoko. These Serpo aliens, like all the times before, not only wants Momo's banana, but now they want Ken's golden balls! Who would have thought that the plot continues with everyone trying to take away Ken's manhood? Who wants Ken's manhood? Everyone does. These alien ditties want the power of Ken's golden balls. Their Serpo Jins are going to steal his balls and implant them into their beings to become Turbo Granny powerful. And then, like every other alien sci-fi fantasy, they're going to experiment on his asshole. Like the inequality and the outrage anime fans felt in episode 1, where Momo is about to get alien diddied. In this episode, no one will care when a man gets alien diddied as they strip Ken and raise him up to the ceiling to strip him of his manhood. Then, in a surprising but not so surprising turn of events, witness a climactic cliffhanger as Ida turns into a swallowing and spitting machine that is acrobatic Silky. This episode is really back to the typical Dandadan storytelling formula. The first half of the episode is back to the slice of life, romantic plot, and a lot of the fun humor that specifically comes from that, which eventually leads us ultimately into an alien or spiritual yokai plot, which honestly keeps working as the plot themselves keep progressing in a natural, fresh way, with the characters facing new obstacles and introducing more characters, introducing more obstacles. At this point, if you are still watching Dandadan, this episode is continually showing us why we are still here. I know for the previous episode, I went as far as to say that that was like one of the best episodes of the entire year for anime. But those kinds of episodes are not really a repeatable one, as that episode is a purposeful, stark contrast from all these other episodes of Dandadan, which naturally will make it hit a lot more, especially when you're not expecting something that deep and powerful like acrobatic Silky's backstory and experiencing that empathetic feeling with her character. Romantic relationships are super complex and very relatable, so it's easy to relate to Momo and Ken's relationship, because no matter how old you are, we all go through these similar experiences. There's always going to be something fun and specific to pull from Ken and Momo's dynamic, and so that's what makes introducing another character like Ida with this romantic triangle is what makes it more fun and intriguing, because it builds off these feelings of jealousy, misunderstandings. That's just the nature of relationships, which will ultimately lead to more characters of the opposite sex being introduced to the relationship of Ken and Momo. as we all have friends of different genders, which goes back to those misunderstandings and the jealousy feeling that we all have. To test the resolve of Ken and Momo's relationship, the formula to make these episodes have essentially been the same, except the last one with acrobatic Silky's backstory. Even the main plot being surrounded by Ken's manhood is the same, so I guess we can really just boil it down to reproductive organs. So the fun of this anime comes down to a lot of the execution of how the story is delivered to us, which I think one of the coolest scenes of this episode was Momo trying to hide away from that dinosaur looking thing with the wave of water. That was a really cool moment, as most of the action scenes in this anime have been looking really awesome, and the voice actors themselves are really great as well. And yeah, that's all I really have to say. It was a fun episode, a very typical episode for Dandadan, but it's a natural progression of the story between all the characters and the dynamics that they face. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Dandadan episode 8. I would love to know. And do me a favor guys, hit the like button for Ken's manhood and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And check out my blog at otakusin.com, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.